Hey gang, we are at Wind Ridge Memorial Park Sanctuary here in Cary, Illinois. We've been here a couple of times, and today I'm going to share the story of a horrible murder. We did the Brickas here, and it's kind of similar in a way, but actually worse, if you can imagine that. It's a beautiful place here, and we're going to take a very slow and short walk to the grave of the Columbo family. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this case, but it was a case of greed. A daughter who was just so wicked, and her boyfriend. It's almost indescribable. So let's walk along and I'll tell you the story. So mother and father, Frank and Mary Columbo, first generation immigrants. They were here. They came to Elmhurst, Illinois, a nice little suburb here. And Frank was a car salesman, and I guess he had an auto parts store or shop. And they were doing really well. They had a daughter. Her name was Patty Columbo. And a son, Michael. Now at 16 years old, Patty is already getting in trouble. She's getting in trouble with petty thefts, petty crimes, and her father's basically coddling her, bailing her out. She's really not having to account for herself. She's basically a brat. And she just is getting worse and worse. And what happens, she ends up meeting this guy. I think he was 35, he's in his mid-30s. His name, Frank DeLuca. He was working at Walgreens. He was the manager there at Walgreens. And he's like, oh, she's cute. And this guy, by the way, was a major player. A really bad dude. But he was playing the straight act at Walgreens. So he's like, hey, why don't you come work here? So she gets a job at Walgreens. She likes him. He likes her. And the guy's 35 years old with 5 kids, and he's married. Can you believe that? He's married. But she would not be his only tryst. He was involved in all kinds of crazy stuff, crazy sex. And of course their relationship started, and she's 16, he's 35, and the next thing you know, if you can believe this, that she moves in with this guy, with his family. Now imagine, she's 16 years old. Some of his kids were that age, 1 or more, so you gotta go, she's blending right in, you know. I don't know if it was like a foster family ruse or what, but there she is. She's living there, and nobody has any idea. Her parents, her father, Frank, agreed to it. So, yeah, pretty wild deal. So, sure enough, the wife, Frank DeLuca's wife, starts catching on. She's like, I want a divorce. This is all crazy stuff. And then, in the meantime, by the way, they're not only having an affair and like going hot and heavy, but they're involved in group sex, swingers, and bestiality. Yeah, bestiality. It is said that she was bragging at school and showing pictures of her having her way, or I should say the German Shepherd, Frank DeLuca's German Shepherd, having its way with her, if you know what I mean. And you know what I mean, but if you're like me, you can't even picture it. But there were pictures, I guess. Now, why would you show anybody that and then brag about it? It's pretty messed up. So things are progressing. Things are getting weirder. And the next thing you know, she meets these two guys. I don't know if it was through Frank DeLuca or not. And things are getting really bad, by the way, because when her dad found out, he went ballistic. He went after Frank DeLuca, Father Frank, and he caught him, and he ended up taking a rifle, the butt of the rifle, and smashing 4 of his teeth out in the melee. So you can just imagine the hatred that not only she had for her parents now, because they didn't approve of old Frank DeLuca and his methods and all their actions, but now the physical had set in. So now that this is happening, she ends up meeting this Lonnie and Roman, these two young guys, and they the short story is they're pretending they're hitmen, and they're like, yeah, we're cool, we're hitmen. And she's like, hey, do you want to take out my parents? I'll pay you. And they're like, oh yeah, money, okay, yeah. You know, we do hits for the mob. Of course, these two knuckleheads were lying. They were trying to just pump money out of her. She says, I don't have money now, but when I get the life insurance after you kill them, I'll give you 10 grand each. 1, 2, 3, mom, dad, and brother Michael. And I'll also, in the meantime, just to get by, I'll give you sex. And they're like, yeah, okay. That sounds like a good deal. Let's have sex. So they go on, they carry on for months, and these guys are leading her along, the dummy, and playing this whole game. Well, finally they just put her off so long that Christmas came. They were supposed to have killed the parents at Christmas, so of course it was all they were just BSing her to get sex and money. And finally, when they knew they weren't going to get the money, because she said, I can't give you the money until we kill them, that's, you gotta do the deal. Then they were like, oh, you know what? I've got a guilty conscience. We can't do it, or I can't do it. So, go figure. So basically what happened is now that's not going to stay up. I'm going to lay it down here. We've got some breeze. James Walker, thank you for your service. Passed in '88. So she goes to her boyfriend, Frank DeLuca. She's like, you and me got to do it. We got to take him out. So what happens is, they do it. They go to the house, and they go in the front door, and the first thing they see is her father. He's running up the stairs. He sees the gun. Frank DeLuca shoots him in the back of the head, I think. And if that's not enough, he's not dying right away. So she takes a trophy, one of her dad's bowling trophies, and bludgeons him, bashes his head in. Mom is hiding in the bathroom. They find her, shoot her right between the eyes. And little Michael's sleeping through almost all of this. They find him. He gets shot. He's not dying fast enough. She stabs him with scissors, I don't know, like 80 or 100 times. Can you imagine the evil? How crazy and evil you have to be to do something like that? Well, long and the short of it is, she plays the role, goes to the funeral. Oh my God, my parents. Crying over the caskets. And here at the grave, playing the role at the funeral right here. Here is the grave. One marker for the 3 victims. And when they interview her, she comes in wearing a Fredericks of Hollywood getup, like Victoria's Secret, but worse. gaudy, naked practically, and she's playing this game with one of the detectives. They were setting her up and talking to her friends. They were like talking about it beforehand. Oh, we're trying to have my parents killed. So I mean, it all came down. They got caught. Not going to go into the trial and all that, but they were each sentenced to 100 years per person, so 300 years. 300 years each. And here is the marker. So we have Frank P. Columbo, 1933, 1976. I think the date was May 4th, spring. 1963, 1976. Boy, 4 years younger than me, Michael was. Or, yeah, 4 years younger. Wow. And then Mary, looks like 1934, so she was a year younger than Frank, 1976. So, you would think the story's over, but the story's not over. The story's not over because what she really, this Patty, she really adapts to prison well. She's at Dwight down south here of Chicago in the women's section, and she builds a prostitution ring, and she like has it going, a whole sex ring in prison, and the warden's in on it, and the guards, and all of this. Now they got caught, and the heads rolled. Everybody lost their job, and there she sits. And I think she's up for parole every 12 years, both of them. Yeah, hopefully they don't get paroled. I mean, it's just doesn't stop. Can you imagine if you let them out? It'd be nuts. Anyway, I hope they rot in prison. They're there now. Maybe they'll see this video. Maybe they'll see this episode. Anyway, there's the Columbos. A sad end. Such a waste. Greed and money. We've heard it before. Frank, Mary, and little Michael, 13 years old. Rest in peace. It says they're together forever. Rest in peace.